Hi folks, I'm Andrew Milne and you're all very welcome back to the Celtic Soul Podcast, episode 25. Joining me today on the show will be former professional boxer and Celtic fan Gary Murray. Many of our players have now joined up with their national team squads. Let's hope they all return injury-free and that none of them test positive for COVID-19 on their return. And we can push on for the rest of the season after the 3-1 win on Sunday against Motherwell. Celtic will lose out an estimated £30 million for failing to qualify for the Champions League group stages. And with that in mind, I hope we don't sell our best assets until this season is over. Going for the 10 in a row remains in all our minds, and it is still the Holy Grail. The Vultures will circle Celtic Park once again during the transfer window. The tabloid press will keep linking players in and out of the club. Agents will be giving them nuggets of information, some true, but many false, as they try to store the pot and get the best deal for the player. When we return to competitive action against Ross County up in Dingwall, it looks like there will be fans in the stadium. A small amount of home fans will be allowed in as they are planning on using the game as a test event. I know that the Celtic fans will be missing the early bus trip up from Glasgow. For this one, it's always a favourite during the season. The driver would have been told, get the rebs on, and the cargo would be hidden for fear of being stopped by the police and them removing it en route up north. But once again, we'll be watching this one on the TV. But fans back in the stadium is a step in the right direction. Gary Murray is a Coatbridge boy, a Celtic fan and a former professional boxer who almost paid the ultimate price for punching for pay with his life when he suffered brain injuries after his Celtic title fight with Belfast Paddy Gallagher. Hi Gary, you're very welcome to the Celtic Soul Podcast. How's life at the moment and how has life in lockdown been for you as we continue to try and stay safe during COVID-19?
How you doing? Life's good there, thanks. How's yourself? You good?
I'm not bad, Gary. Just a bit, you know yourself. I just want to go back to see Celtic.
Well, that's it. Well, I was watching it on the telly's not the same, is it? Empty stadiums, but hopefully soon enough they'll start letting the fans back in. Everything's just been every day's just been the same, you know. Because I was actually off my work prior to it, so nothing's really changed for me. But I see everybody else getting stressed out big time. I just sort of take it as it comes.
Yeah, well, I suppose if you look too long down the line, like if you had to set in March, I would be chatting to Andrew at the start of September, and we'll still be, you know, in lockdown and still no football fans in football. No one would have believed it, but here we are. We spoke about 2 weeks before lockdown.
Yeah.
Obviously, the virus was just starting, but no one knew how serious it would be.
So you decided to go to the other side of the world?
I decided to go to Thailand, yeah. Well, no, but in fairness, now we got Thailand done and dusted. We got the festival done just before we had to come back. Thank God, because people had travelled from all around the world. It's since then we've come back. It's just been, you know, that we left the town. Now we can travel around the country now, which isn't too bad. But I think we're like the bars aren't still open fully. You can go out for a meal and bits and pieces, but it's
not the same, is it? It's not the same in the pubs and whatnot, you know.
But hopefully we can get back to some kind of normality soon. Celtic back to winning ways on Sunday. 3-0 win over Motherwell.
Yeah.
After the Champions League exit during the week. It's been a stop-start season with Bolingoli Gate and a few lacklustre performances. As a fan, what's your take on what's going on down Paradise Way?
You know, I've got in the back of my mind that I think the likes of the crowd's not been there. It really will be affecting the players. I think about like Celtic's great, recent history at home in Europe. And you take that away, but as you take the fans, it's the fans that make it a hard place to come to get a victory. And if they're not there every week playing, you know, I do think that Celtic's form will dip because of it. I do think that like at Celtic Park, like the crowd they're like an extra man, especially in the big European games.
There's been a lot of upheaval, we'd say, because of the COVID, but you know these players are. Yeah, they're well looked after. There's no one better looked after than professional footballers.
Oh, definitely, yep, 100%. I couldn't agree more with you, but I genuinely do think, like you heard them all say, they're all the best players in the world. It's the most intimidating place to come play football. It's Parkhead, and I honestly do think if there were games were behind closed doors, like I don't think for a second Celtic would beat the likes of Barcelona or on and off. You know what I mean? Or like AC Milan. I think we'd be on the wrong side of a good doing. without a lot of the fans there. But it's all, it's all buts and maybes in it. It was good to see him in the game the other day. I was screaming for a Jetty to come on. See, just I'd seen, listen to Big Hartson at half time, and he made a great point. He's like, even you just get a striker will just get in the box, even you just stand still and play off the players. So I just sort of thought all the players were all like, down the channels and, not playing with a recognised striker. It's at home, you want to have somebody up there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was certainly a talking point, especially on social media. Before both games, the European game when he didn't play a striker up front, and then on Sunday again, people were thinking, he was just been stubborn. But like the game did change when he brought on firstly Paddy, and then when he brought on Ayeti. Like two strikers up front just made it so different. And then it was great to see Frimpong coming off the bench as well. Because
he done well that boy in the right.
He just added something, and hopefully going forward, because when he came back from Dubai, he went with two up front with Griffiths and Eddie, and hopefully now he's seeing that's the winning formula. There's not a lot between us and Rangers. I know, like, if we have 2 games in hand, but there's 6 points between us. If we win the games, we're level, and hopefully we'll be level going in against them, because that it's a massive season to 10 in a row.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's one of the ones, and every game's a cup final. But see, to be fair, it's like it's been a while since you've been this excited about personally, about a season, because you're like, right, this is the season that needs to happen. Every game is like a cup final. Instead of just being like monotonous going through it. Obviously, you want to see your team win, but it's like when you're winning all the time and the threat it's there, but it's not there. You always want to beat them. You always want to get them a down, but when the challenge and they're not really on your coattails, it's not the same. Whereas now it's exciting again.
Yeah,
don't be wrong. I'd still rather be 20 points ahead. But you know how it is.
Yeah, but you're now watching the Rangers result now. People say, "Oh no, I don't care about them." Everyone's watching the results.
I don't know. I didn't say they're not caring about it.
No. And you look, even yesterday, Aberdeen and Hibs, you're looking to see, who can take points off.
I think over the course this full season, I think that they've all dropped points, but it's whether Celtic can maintain what they've had the last few years. Like if Celtic on a good run of form, it's seen whether Rangers can sustain it over a season. This Celtic team have proved they can. I know there's been a few changes in that, but they've proved that they can sustain it. But it'll be interesting anyway.
Well, hopefully they can keep all the players now, and that no one goes out in the transfer window, because we're always going to be.
So I know, but it's that the Champions League thing. You're always thinking, worrying. There's going to be more.
A balance the books exercise.
Well, even I know everybody's thinking about them everybody being off work and things like that, but financially it must be hitting the football teams as well. They're not getting. Obviously, I think most people are paying up the season tickets. I'm not a season ticket holder anymore, but it must. I would assume that there must be some revenue that they're losing, but not having the.
I would imagine through hospitality and catering and pies, and they all make money. I was reading today that it'd be 30 million they would have made by qualifying for the Champions League group stages. So that's gone now, and history shows us that Peter Lawwell will balance the books with a big sale. And hopefully it's not Eddie.
Well, that's what I was going to say there. It's almost a stick on in it. I think knowing that they've got, like Griffiths, I think he knows how to find the back of the net and domestically. And I think that's the sort of, the safety net. They'll believe they'll still be able to get 10 in a row and by selling one of the players, which is a very, very risky thing to do, because if they do that and they don't get, and it doesn't happen, the fans will turn on the board big time.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Just before we move on, Gary, have you been watching any of the boxing behind closed doors?
I've seen a few. I've seen a few of them. Again, I haven't been when I grew up, I was just transfixed Celtic football, and I went boxing. It was just boxing. And since I've had this injury, man, it's just been, it's just trying to survive. I've not had, it's not as massive a thing in my life, but it's obviously, as I said, now it's just trying to get my hands sorted with my employment. But I watched the scene like Eddie Hearn's been having a couple of shows out in his back garden.
Tell you what, he got some back gardens.
Some fucking house in it. Fucking house is mine anyway.
I tell you one thing, the dressing rooms, I'd say, was bigger than my house. Yeah, no, I watched a couple of them, but again, it's entertaining. But what reminds me of, like watching a good spar in the gym.
Aye.
I think boxing can. I'm not saying it can survive behind closed doors, but it's a different thing than football. Football is,
Aye, because obviously, like, that's the thing that people don't understand, that, like, the best fights people don't see. The best fights happen in the gym because the guys are dehydrated. They're not, cutting weight. They're at their best. And they're in the gym, and they might have bigger gloves on, but I've seen some great, gym wars as they call them. But I don't think that fighters are ever at their best when they're in a fight. See, because there's this, unless they've got the best strength and conditioning nutritionists and things like that, you see them and they're like gone the day before the fight to the way in, and then I don't think they fully recover in order to put on the best version of themselves. But
yeah, I don't think people realise as well when a boxer's cutting weight how hard it is. Because I remember after a Rangers match a couple of years ago, and Scotty Cardle was preparing for a fight, and he had one black coffee with us. We had a couple of pints. He had one black coffee, and then he had to leave to go home because he had a certain amount of food he needed to eat. You put yourself through some torture, really, isn't it?
Not anymore. I've been making up for it since. I think since I woke up out of coma, I think I've doubled my body weight. So I've beat anorexia. I might not have won my world title, but I've beat anorexia.
Okay, Gary, know you're a Celtic fan. You were a pro boxer, but can you take us back to a young Gary Murray in Coatbridge before you started boxing? Was it football? Was it going to see Celtic? What was it like back in those formative years?
It was obviously going to St Timothy's local primary school. Everybody was always just Celtic playing football. But my mum, we were talking about this the other day actually, she would never ever, she wouldn't buy me a Celtic strip. She didn't want me having been in like Celtic or radio football or anything. So made my first Holy Communion. I bought my first Celtic strip myself, but my dad being a fly man, because he had to go in and buy it. The only way I could buy a Celtic strip was if I bought him one as well. So my complete communion money gets spent on buying my dad a Celtic strip, buying myself one. And I was like, I don't care, I want it. So I got that, and that, obviously that was the top that they won the '95 Cup final. So I was at that game, and it's funny actually. I was at that game, and I had just made my communion, and I had my kilt on at the game. And it turns out, it transpires like 20 odd years later, that my wife was at the game as well. But she was in the Airdrie end. Because she's originally from Airdrie. She says, I was a big Diamond fan. I was like, what? I literally found this out like 6 months ago at the wedding when it happened, if I knew that.
We'll certainly have to bring that up the next more than 90 minutes dinner dance that she attended.
Oh, exactly. I don't know. She says I was a glory hunter and started supporting Celtic when she's got a 10-year-old.
Brilliant. So that was you remember going back as far as '95? See Paul McStay winning that.
I remember before then. I was at the cup final in '94. Rafe Rovers. I was at that game at Ibrox.
Any good news?
Not exactly, mate. That's why I just skimmed over it. I'd been going to the games. I think I went to the games the last season at the Old Parkhead, and then went for the season at Hampden, and then we got the season ticket, and I think it was '96. I think with the stadium opened, it was '95, '96, and I had that until I had to move away for work. And when I moved away for work, I wanted to keep my ticket on, but my dad cancelled it because it was part of like one of the buses. He's like, okay, just cancel Gary's ticket. I would still have it to this day if he hadn't cancelled it. What can you do? So
we hold your father responsible for that.
I do, definitely.
Now, you said you moved away for work there, Gary. That's when you started boxing, wasn't it?
It was. I worked down I worked in electricity pylons. So basically, you work wherever the work is. So maybe pylons in Newcastle, London. But the jobs last maybe about 6 months, and then you have to move on, or 3 months, and you have to move on. So I was always moving about at different places, and I ended up in Norwich for a spell. And it's like the sort of work, all the boys work away. It's always you work for like 10 hours, and then you're in the pub for about 10 hours, and then you get a 4 hour skip, and then it's the same thing all over. And I was doing it, and I was like, I need to do something else. So I just started going to the boxing gym, and I just started doing boxed as a kid, like to learn the basics, but I never really fought. And they put us in a fight, like a week collar fight. And I just went for there. And then after I had a couple in England, and then believe it or not, the next job that we get put on was in Glasgow, so I could actually stay at home. So then I got a gym local, and then it just sort of took off for there.
So you had a couple of unlicensed fights before you turned pro?
Oh, no, yeah. When I moved to Scotland, I then continued fighting unlicensed, but see, like now you get a lot of them, a lot of the shows are they're terrible, and don't get me wrong, I fought in my fair share of terrible shows myself, but I like to think that in doing that, I always fought like the better opponents that were out there. You know, guys that were ex-professionals that couldn't get a professional license because for whatever reason, or they were ex-pros, or they were like top amateurs that that had just decided they wanted to do this instead because it would get to fight on fighting on big nights like hotels, like big shows, even though they're not, like a lot of the amateur shows are just in like social clubs and things like that. So I done that for up until I made my pro debut in 2014. So I've done that for maybe 2 years, and then I had my pro debut.
And how did turning pro come about?
It was basically we went over the sort of unlicensed team that I was part of. We went out to Macklin's in Marbella out in Spain. I think we were the first team to actually go out there. And I remember just thinking about seeing all the pros in there and the way it was sparring, and I knew myself, I was like, I'm going to regret it the rest of my life if I don't. So I just said to my then trainer, like, I'm doing it. I says, I just need to know for myself, because I was sparring regularly with the top amateurs, doing all right. I says, I'm just going to go for it. And he's like, all right, sorry. So I came home, and it took nearly a year from that date to go through all the tests that they wanted, because they wanted to make sure you're a competent boxer, because I didn't have the relevant sort of amateur pedigree that they would just grant you a license straight away. So I had loads of hurdles to go over to actually get my license. So at that time, it just gave me more time to get ready. So that's how it sort of came about.
And then you went in an unbeaten run. Was it 13 fights unbeaten, or was it 12?
No, it was 12. It was 12, but see, to be fair, on it, this is what I'm saying. Like when I was fighting unlicensed, I would go and fight I fought better fighters when I was unlicensed, believe it or not. And I don't get wrong, I had a couple of scares in the pros as well, but I managed to come back and win. But a lot of the fights, it's just a money making exercise for for other people. It's not you're not really in deep, and then you're going for there and you're going against Paddy Gallagher, Commonwealth gold medalist. You know what I mean? But a learning experience, to say the least.
Yeah, you mentioned Paddy Gallagher there. That was the big fight. You were underdog on the night, and we chatted about it just a couple of weeks before the fight. You were a guest at Celtic AM in Malone's before one of the games. Can you take us back to the build up to that fight and take the listeners down into the dressing room and then into the ring? Because it was a belter of a fight before you suffered the technical knockout.
Yeah, and the lead up to the fight, I don't want any excuses here. At the end of the day, the buck stops with me. It was me that got in the ring and got done, whatever. But in the lead up to the fight, things weren't perfect. But on the night, as I said to you before, I don't have any actual memory of the fight. Literally, I remember being in the changing room before it. I remember my manager coming in, and my big mate Ian and Sandy had come in, and I was with my trainer Peter and Pat, and that is the last thing I can remember. I can't remember walking to the ring. I can't remember being in the ring. I remember waking up in the hospital and thinking that I thought I'd been on the drink and fucking done something, because I had no memory. I thought I'd been drunk and just woke up and like, well, what have I done? Not knowing. And then obviously my wife then broke it to me that I had been in a fight. I'd been boxing, but I boxed Paddy Gallagher, and I was like, no, honestly, no recollection of any. And I think over the it's coming up 3 years. It's coming up 3 years next month. In a month's time it'll be 3 years. And I still, every now and again, things are coming back a wee bit clearer, than what they did previous.
Have you watched the fight back?
Nah, because what happened was, I was promised that it was going to be a TV fight. That was the first thing, and then I called their bluff, and I said, "Well, what? I've got a promoter that's I've got a sponsor that wants to see the logo on the telly." And she goes, oh, well, we can't 100% guarantee, but 99.9% you're going to be a TV fight. So I knew then that I was just getting lied to. Well, that's apparently it happened. The fight ended up coming at like after midnight. I think, as I say, I can't even remember like prior to that, like being in the changing room thinking, oh, I should be out by now. And it's not, because apparently it was a TV fight, and then I'll be perfectly honest, I think I was just fucking lied to right the whole way through.
And do you remember the press conferences and stuff like that?
Oh no, I remember them. Remember being Paddy and that as well, and you know, even he's a hard guy to dislike, even after he's gave your head in. No, I mean, even then, you know, I mean, I was like, he's sound because we're talking away, you know, what I mean, before we even get in there. But as I say, my recollection is up to the changing room, and then after that, just none.
And was the fact that you had to cut weight dehydration? What was there any fact? Have you been told about any factors of why you collapsed into a coma?
At the point, I mean, I think a lot of it's to do with it as well. I never had the courage to quit my job and chase it full time, because I had like a mortgage to pay, and I had a flat that I rented out, and I was always having to have money in case that somebody wasn't renting that. And I never ever. I worked full time, and you know what I mean. And it was. I think that's maybe cost me, because I actually took time off work prior to that fight, but I didn't have a camp set up. I didn't have any routine. You know, I just done everything. I went down to Birmingham 3 times myself to get sparring. Just turned up at the gym, sparring like, say, you know, Frankie Gavin. But he's like, Frankie Gavin's a southpaw. You know, he's not. And like a couple of other boys that John Peck had. But again, I was down myself, and nobody there in my corner. And then I come up the road, and I tried, as you say, like, try to manage your weight. I ended up, I sparred Calvin McCord. Calvin McCord now fights, I think he fights at lightweight, and he battered me in my last spar. And then I was just like, I remember just being, you know, like, this happened and all that, getting into it. But at the end of the day, I remember training and just being, my mindset was like, I knew a lot of things when they right in the background, but I was like, I'll be able to look myself in the mirror after this, because I don't know about a lot of other people. But I never for a second thought what was going to happen to me. You know, what happened to me was going to happen. You know.
Were you getting well paid for that fight?
No, not enough to fucking be, to end up disabled. You know what I mean? But no, I got a game. I think I got like £2,500 or something, and then I got I think there was a thing with the board paid like £500, but bear in mind, you know, they're taking off loads and loads of hours off work, and you know, I mean, it wasn't. I wasn't doing it for that. I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it because I wanted to. You know, I wanted to progress. But it did. You know, I mean, it wasn't the day.
You mentioned there about it wasn't what happened to you. So you were in a coma, and your recollection of coming around in the hospital, you said, was like you were out on the night on the drink.
Yep.
So you remember up to the dressing room of the fight.
Yeah.
And then you wake up in hospital.
Woke up in hospital, not sure what had happened. I couldn't even then think what I had done last. Like I couldn't think when I was lying in the hospital. Think, all right, 1 minute I was in the changing room, and then now when I woke up, I was just like, God, what have I done? What have I done? Where have I been? You know, thinking that I'd been out partying or whatever. And my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time. She was like, nah. I says, I've been a idiot, and I've been out drinking, and I've been in bother. And she says, you've been fighting, but it was in a boxing ring. You fought Paddy Gallagher. At the time, and when I was lying there, I was disappointed in myself, because I thought that I was actually training still to fight Paddy Gallagher, and I'd been out drinking when I should have been training. It was a weird sort of experience.
And how long were you unconscious for?
I don't know. I was about a fortnight. I think I was out here, or something along the lines.
It must be so hard on your wife and family.
10 days. Oh no, well, I think they were. My wife's been strong through it all. All my best man, my wedding, his missus, my wife, my mum and dad, not my family. Family were all close, and to be honest, they get some laugh. They said it was some laugh, and it was when I see after I woke up, and I was delirious. I thought it was an Ibiza. When I was I thought I was on holiday, and I kept saying, and so like when they're coming out of the food, for like your dinner and all that. I was sitting talking to my brother-in-law, and I kept saying to him, "Oh, you should get your dad to come out here. This is fucking brilliant. This all inclusive's magic." And I had tried to get up and go. I went out a walk when I got up, and like the first couple of days I couldn't walk, but I got up one day and I went to go to the toilet, and I shouldn't have been. I was in intensive care. I shouldn't have been. But so they put like a thing around my wrist, and it was like a tag. But this tag was like so that if you walk by these sensors, an alarm goes off, so they know that they go and get you and put you back into bed. But I thought this tag was my all-inclusive wristband. So I was clicking my mate in the nurses like, "Can I get a drink yet?" And all that.
So you were asking the nurses for a drink?
I was like, "Is the bar open yet?"
I'm sorry for laughing. This is serious.
No. I kept saying that. And I said that all the doctor was walking by. Apparently, this is all stories I get told about. The doctor was walking by with his clipboard, and I was just lying in bed, and I'm like, I think I'm on a sunbed at the pool. And I was saying to them all, I've not seen that cunt in the pool all week. No, it's mental, but
Unbelievable. And listen, how long were you in hospital then for overall?
it was a long time. Well, I seen that it was. They'd said I was going to go to out of the intensive care. I was going to go to a general ward in the Monklands, which is a local hospital to me because it happened in Edinburgh. But they were going to transfer me to the local hospital in the Monklands. But no harm to the Monklands. But my mum works there. My mum knows. She's like, no, because he gets put in there, he'll just rot. And I've got to take my hats off to my management at the time. I think it was MTK. They paid to get me into like a brain injury specialist place, and I went there. And that, to be honest, that was the best thing that could happen to me because it gave me a bit of perspective. I was dead angry and upset. I couldn't box again. I was told I wasn't allowed to box again, but I was in get people that were younger than me, in car accidents that were never going to walk again. Get people with real proper brain injuries that it kind of gave us a sense of perspective. Whereas I've not really got much to moan about.
Well, my memory of that night was I'm almost sure I was coming back from an Ireland match in the Aviva Stadium in Dublin. And when I was coming down the road, I messaged you to see how the fight went. And I says, it must be a pattern, right? Because I couldn't get the internet. So I went back out, I had a couple of points, and then it was only the next morning, and I went on to get the result that I found out that you were in hospital. And then obviously couldn't contact you. But it was you're worried because I'm a big boxing fan, but I know there's always casualties. So as you said there, your management put you into a private hospital for rehab.
Yeah, and I've just got to thank them for it because, my sort of injury, even now, still people don't get it because I don't have any outward symptoms. Because if I was if I was sitting drilling, or I couldn't speak, I couldn't hold a conversation. People would know then, maybe he's got brain injury. But in there, when I went in, I actually seen people that have these sort of outwardly you can tell basically that they're ill. And as I say, it gave me some sense of perspective, and I went through they had all talk sort of psychologists and different people that work with even physiotherapists, all the different and all the things they do for your cognition, your problem solving things and that, just try to get your brain back, get some sort of life back to it,
And how hard was it mentally to deal with?
See, to be honest, at the time, I was in the best hands. It's been more so since it's all died down and it's all, it's old news. Everybody thinks, oh no, it's fine now. That it's been the things that's been on with my work, absolute nightmare. It's been harder dealing with what's happening with my work over the last year than what it had been, in the hospital. Because in the hospital, I had the best people looking after me, and then when I come home, I was fine because I had my family and my close friends coming to see me every now and again, and it's after all that it gets difficult. You know what I mean? When people go, right, he's okay now, and you go out into but in saying that, I was back at work for over a year, and I was doing fine. It was the massive changes in the job, but it became too much from like I didn't have the capacity to deal with what they were looking for out of me.
So, Gary, just try to let the listeners in, because it's the first person I've ever interviewed that has had a brain injury. You said you didn't remember anything from the dressing room till you woke up, and then you thought you were in a beta, and which I think of most places to be.
That's it.
But you said things comes back to you, and do you remember everything before the fight now?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that's missing, is it?
Yeah. I swear, Andrew, it's actually funny that you've got in touch with me. I know I probably say to you every time I've seen you, I've been like, oh, my memories getting better. It's the best I've been since. It's the best I've been since. It's the best I've been since. Injury every time, but I swear to God, see the last 6 weeks. The last 6 weeks I've been, the bet by a country mile. My wife's been keeping me right with a lot of the things that's going on with my work. She's pretty intelligent. I'm finding myself remembering things that she's not remembered. And even she's noticed a lot of. It's hard to explain to people what that is. It's like everything, but it's putting things one after the other, and it's like if I was to drive from here to the pub, if I was driving here to the pub, I know what the pub is in my mind. I know I can visualise it in my head, but then getting in my now I'm fine, but then it's like getting into my car. I'd be like, how did I get there? I know I drive to the end of the road, and then when I get to the end of the road, then I'd be like, all right, then I go here. But I couldn't put in, I couldn't visualise it in my own head that I go there. So if I was to give the directions to somebody, I wouldn't be able to just reiterate it. I just had to react to every time I turned around and be like, off here, I turn left. And then when I get to that bit, I'd be like, oh, I'm here, right. To here, I turn right. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't have and I feel as if things are just sort of, it's like a bone healing. Do you know what I mean? It's like everyone's starting to knit together again. I'm starting to think. I used to, the way I describe it is I'd always remember things on a sort of macro scale. I've been able to remember that I was at the Celtic dances with say yourself and Joe Miller, and that was there. But I wouldn't be able to tell you what we actually talked about, because that was not that thing about the details. Whereas now, I'm better with things like that now. I remember where I've been, what I've done, and I can actually remember the discussions and the sort of more minor things. I can remember things more in detail now. And
I remember the following time we were in Malone's, and you were still very ill in hospital. I remember saying to the because obviously we have different people come in every time depending on who we're interviewing, but we have a hardcore as well that would be there, that would get the McConnell's bus up to the game. So we'd have a hardcore that would be in. And I remember saying, you were probably in 2 weeks before the fight, and this was maybe a week after the fight. And I said, Gary's in, and we're all praying for him, and he's fighting. And as soon as he gets well, we're going to have him back, in for an interview. And then you did come in for an interview, and I remember the reaction, from the regulars there. But you did tell me that night, that morning, you were saying, your memory wasn't just up to scratch, and your wife was great, because we chatted before we went on, and she was brilliant, kind of reminding you and prompting you and that. But it was just great to have you back that time, and I also thank you, because since then you've supported all our charity dinners, and I appreciate you turning up. And
not at all. It's it's a pleasure to be invited along. It's good charities that good work that they do.
They do indeed, yeah. Life after boxing, boxing's a tough sport. You've been through the mill. Are you going to stay involved with the sport, or are you still involved with it?
No, I'm not. I'm definitely. I'm at the moment. I'm doing helping people with their boxing, want to learn boxing and things like that. But I'm not involved. I've got my pro trainer's badge and things like that. I've got all that, but at the moment I'm not. But I'm definitely 100% in my mind. I'm not finished. I'm not finished in boxing. But again, that might be something to do with injury. That now it's just my employment status. That's the main thing to do. I've got to look after myself and my wife, pay the bills, and I've always had like 2 or 3 jobs. Even when I was even when I was boxing, I worked on the pylons and I used to do deliveries and I bought a box all the time. Do you know what I mean? It was a recipe for disaster. But when I go for that now to like, I'm saying I'm willing to go back to work and my work aren't really wanting me back. So we're going to, we'll see what conclusion comes of that. But it is what it is. It's got to crack on.
Yeah, so now the future is you want to go back walking, you want to stay involved in the sport.
Yeah, I want to stay involved, but I think it'll be a bit down the line. You know, I want to get to a stage where I've got my employment is looking a bit better. My employment status is a bit better, but then I can actually start to look at extracurricular things because there's no money in boxing. There's no money unless you're, you know, as I say, I told you I think I got for that fight with Paddy Gallagher. You know, guy top 10 in the UK. So it's pennies in comparison to what you put in, and then the fighters get pennies, and then as a trainer you get 10% of their pennies. So you know, I mean, it's not sustainable as a job. You know, hopefully I can get things sorted with my job, and then as soon as I've done that and I've got a bit of security behind me, I'm definitely want to get back involved in boxing.
Well, Gary, you've grafted all your life, 2 jobs and boxing. It's some going, and I just hope everything pans out for you in the future because it's certainly an inspirational story of how you come back.
It's not done yet, mate. It's not done yet.
You come back, no, but it is. Every time I see you looking better and
fatter.
I wouldn't say that. I think that's the last of the words.
Do you know that's actually I know now I'm using it as an excuse, but at the time, literally say at the time, I was putting on loads of weight because, see, if my memory was that bad that I would go around to my mum's and my mum would be like, "Have you had dinner tonight?" And I'd be like, "I don't know." So I would have had my dinner and then I would have been down there and had another one. I didn't have a clue. So that's been my excuse for a couple of years now, and it's wearing thin, I think, with a few folks. So I'm going to need to start losing a few pounds.
I think so. Gary, before we finish up, how do you see the rest of the season panning out for Celtic? Are we going to do the 10?
Praying we do. I do believe we will, because I think the boys will start to find a bit of form now, and I think maybe Lennon will see you need to play. You just signed a striker, and I don't know if he's making on the jetty getting up to match speed or whatever. And then hopefully we get the likes of Griffiths, Edward, whatever. It's going to be there. I think they've got. I think they could go on a decent run domestically. Obviously there's a Europa League now, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think domestically they've got on a good run. We've got every chance. You know what I mean? We've got players that can put the ball in the net when they're fit, and that's what we need to hold on to.
Well, Gary, it's been a pleasure to chat again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
As it always is. And I'd just like to thank you for bearing your Celtic soul with us.
All right, no bother at all, mate.
Well, hopefully, Gary, the next time we're talking is in Glasgow and we can have a pint.
Aye, pint or 10, mate. Pint or 10.
Look after yourself and we'll talk again soon.
Good man, thanks a lot. See you later, mate. Cheers.
I think Gary's interview highlights that boxing is not all about glitz and glamour. Gary's comeback from his brain injuries is an incredible story, and we wish him all the best and look forward to catching up with him again. Thank you very much for listening. Special thanks again to Ronan McQuillan for producing the show, making the coffee, and running around all day looking after me. Only joking, he's a true professional. Folks, if you like what we're doing and you would like to support us, visit CelticFanzine.com, where you can donate, subscribe, buy, or become a member for the price of a pint. Thanks to everyone who has supported us so far. We really appreciate the support. Don't forget to download our new app. It's free, and you will then have access to all our podcasts, articles, daily news, videos, and info on upcoming events, the fanzine, and our online shop, all at the touch of a button on your phone or tablet. You can also sign up for our newsletter. If your business or Celtic Supporters Club would like to sponsor the podcast, please get in contact. You can email us at info@celticfanzine.com. You can also contact us through the website or message us on social media. To the listeners, keep the comments coming in and let us know what guests you would like us to get onto the show. And if you have a story to tell, we'd love to hear it. We are taking our own international break, and the next podcast, episode 26, will be on Friday the 11th of September. I'll be cheering on the boys in green against Bulgaria and Finland, but there'll be no buses to run or no airports to hang around. It's back onto the sofa to watch on TV. Enjoy the international break, folks. We will be walking away here on the fanzine and the website. And once again, I thank you all for listening. Stay tuned, stay safe, and keep the faith.